Namaskar, Salam Alaikum, good morning. This is Vivek Kolatkar welcoming you to the third webinar by GmbF Global on winning against adversity by famous HR consultant, retired Colonel Rajiv Mishra. I am given a pleasant task of introducing the GmbF Global Executive Committee, who have been putting lot of efforts to bring to you all innovative, useful and practical webinars by experts. To begin with, I am pleased to introduce Dr. Sunil Manjrekar, President of Gulf Maharashtra Business Forum Global. Dr. Sunil is an international health, safety and environment professional. Health, safety, environment audits, ISO audit and certification are his main activities. He is also fondly referred as Google by many of those who know him. NLP is his newfound interest. Chirantan Joshi, promoter of eMovers, a most reputed brand in movers and packers arena. He offers local and international solutions. Leather doctor, furniture trading, and adventure sport company in India are some of his other activities. To all of us, he is a living management school, a great mentor, orator, writer, and teacher.
I go to Rahul Tulpule, a technocrat from Pune, then USA, and now in Dubai, a technocrat par excellence. And he runs a company called Covenant Solutions, a telecommunication field. He's also an avid sports lover and converted his passion into tennis coaching academy. And of course, he is one of the very well connected person across the world, I would say. We have Mr. Sawant, a veteran media personality who runs a media and communication company in UAE, an avid networker with a passion to do social and business networking, and friend of many. Mr. Dilawar, a veteran in printing industry with a printing press supplier and printing industry machinery and material. He is also into the gifts and novelty provider, a team man. Mr. Oren, he is a MEP contractor, a very talented solution provider for complicated projects. In fact, those who deal with him in technical projects know him as technical jugadu, is his strength. Mr. Mahesh Shukla, a technical genius, and he runs a company called Value Manage, providing office system solution in association with Etisalat. Apart from his food and beverage industry, and he is also one of the veteran in UAE and has been mentor for many. Mr. Shirish, he is a director of Sama Adan, air conditioning solution providing company. Shirish also is into F&B. He runs a restaurant in Sharjah, a very keen networker and a friend in need. That is what people who know, they call him. Prasad, Prasad Datar, a, a hardcore human resource person. He runs a company called Nexo Solution. He is into recruitment, to training, to restructuring, and every aspect of human resource solutions. We have Mr. Raut. He is a part of value addition associated with Thermax Group. He is a power horse in a power solution. That's how I can say. And of course, he also is a very famous person in Toastmaster because he is a very veteran Toastmaster. Go to my other remaining friends, Rahul Gokhale. Rahul Gokhale is a chartered accountant and a partner in Ernst & Young. And he is a stage lover and acting, singing, dancing. These are his hobbies. And of course, one of the wonderful person to go to whenever somebody needs an advice. Mr. Khedekar, a veteran printer and a travel agency person, a great sports photographer who has covered many important cricketing events in the past. And myself, Vivek Kolatkar, I'm in insurance field for the last 35 years. I'm a chartered insurer and a risk manager, and I try to provide solutions in insurance. That's a brief introduction of all of us. I now, it's over to Prasad.
Thank you, Vivek. On behalf of GMBF Global, I have the pleasure of welcoming and introducing Colonel Rajiv Mishra. Colonel Mishra brings with him over 35 years of experience in a unique combination of the Indian Army, followed by working with the leading private sector companies in India as their HR leader. Since last 6 years, Colonel Mishra is running his own consulting practice. He's partnering with his clients based in India as well as in the Middle East to achieve their business potential by improving people practices in those organizations. Currently, he's engaged with 5 client organizations in the UAE, which come from varied business sectors. Colonel Mishra is based in Pune, India for last 17 years, and he's keen sports and fitness enthusiast. After his presentation, Colonel Mishra will address some of the questions we have received in advance from the attendees. We will also have an open Q&A session after that, as suggested by Chirantan, and we'll request you either to post your question in the chat box or raise your hand and we'll come, and I request you to please start your presentation.
Thanks a lot, Prasad. Firstly, I would like to thank Dr. Sulil Manjrekar, President of GMBF Global, and Mr. Vivek Kolatkar, General Secretary of GMBF Global, for this opportunity to share my experiences with you. While Prasad has said some kind words in my introduction, I would also like to add few things about my career. So in my army tenure, I've had varied experiences serving on the borders of India, as well as in a UN peacekeeping mission in Lebanon, where I spent a year. I've led large HR transformation in my leadership role as head of HR for Wipro West Zone and Exaware Technologies. In my last 6 years of consulting, I've helped a number of SME clients in India and UAE achieve their potential through transforming their people practices. I'm sure we are all experiencing the ongoing business disruptions. We were just chatting about it before the call. And just like any adversity, we all know that this too will pass, although the time by which it will pass is not so clear. In the last few weeks, we've all learned new things, including working with technology. And this meeting, which is on Zoom, is one of the many which I'm attending almost over the last 2 weeks. And we are very comfortable with this. Now, the key is that embracing only technology is unlikely to help your businesses succeed in the new normal which is coming across. Most of us are not sure of how it is going to come. How does it manifest? By when do things get better? But it is also critical to pay focus on the people which you have in your organizations and the kind of people you need anymore. And I'm going to talk about it today. Like in any cricket match, the captain chooses the team based on the pitch and the opposition. We need to choose our team accordingly. The opposition, which is the business environment, is unknown, and the pitch is tricky, as we all know. Today, I'm going to share some of my experiences and talk about a few strategies which you can use to win in these challenging times. Our session today will consist of 3 sections. The first with about a 2-slide presentation, which I have prepared for you, where I'm going to talk about general people practices and how they are going to change with the new normal. The second, we are going to answer a few of the pre-asked questions. And the third, and something which I really enjoy, is live questions based on what we've talked about today. So let's move on. And let's talk about how, as an organization, we are going to win against this adversity. So this green rectangle typically is your organization. And the first thing which we want to do is to get the right people in our organization, which is about recruitment. So there is someone whom we want to get, and that someone has certain skill sets, certain experiences which we want. Now, like we have our expectations about the employee, the prospective employee has also certain expectations about the organization he's going to join. So, the company. The challenges that we are facing is going to mean that you're going to need better skilled talent in the future. And selection is not going to be easy. Defining what is required in the employee, setting clear expectations of what that employee is going to do, and sharing and growth and reward opportunities is some of the things which we use to get people in the company. Now, recruitment is all about selling your organization to the prospective candidate in a realistic way. And all of the things which I have talked about help in making that happen. What kind of skills, experience, and attitude is required would be needed to achieve those goals, and then select the person who has maximum of those qualities. In today's world, no one is 100% ready. So if you get a 60 to 70% match to your role, he is the right candidate. So what we are looking for is fitting the candidate to the role to the candidate rather than the candidate to the role. Now, how can we do that? So during the interview, you may ask a person to do something which is required for success in the role. So you could ask a salesperson to do a sales call, manage some objections. For an accountant, you may want the accountant to put entries into the software and take out a monthly P&L. Candidate decides in the first 15 to 30 days whether the organization is joined is a long-term or a short-term thing. So how can we make this experience better? Firstly, make the new hire feel welcome and make every effort to offer the right tools to succeed in the role. Secondly, you could familiarize him with the policies and processes and any other information that they may require. It would make sense to also talk to the person about the way things are done in the company. What is the organization culture? Appointing a buddy, someone who either senior or at the same level to guide him through the organization in the first 30 to 90 days is sometimes works very well. We may also have a formal plan to teach the new hire the required technical skills and organization knowledge. Because normally what happens is the new employee tends to find his way through an obstacle course which he sees into the organization till he finds his feet. And we are not making enough chances for him to succeed. So the idea is you build this infrastructure or this organization and you'll find that your retention increases drastically. What I'm talking about is a performance management system. Clear expectation of what is required from the role, by when, what is the measure of success, which means how do you understand that he has achieved the goals or not, and what would be the monitoring mechanism, that is periodicity of reviews. Once this is set, the person is totally and completely focused on getting the role, goals which you have set for the organization. Now, in case an objective method is not there, typically what happens is that we get taken in by our perception. So smooth talkers and people who tell you exactly what you would want to hear are the people who will manage those perceptions. This may lead to real performers not getting recognized and getting demotivated and leaving the organization, which finally has an impact on organizational revenues and profitability. That for a high performer, the rewards have to be linked to performance. There has to be a clear line and the rewards have to be quite high. I'm talking about a difference between an average and a high performer of being between, like if an average performer, you're giving a 2% hike, to a high performer, you may look at a 10% hike. Low performers, obviously the message needs to go clearly that their performance is not good enough and possibly you may give them no increment. The performance management system typically will bring us to the talent management system. And what does the talent management framework talk about? It talks about segregating your employees into the high performers who need to be developed and retained. Typically 10 to 15% of the employees based on performance and attitude is going to be your top performer. Average performers who need to be engaged, these are your foot soldiers who get the job done. They may not be very great in terms of skill sets, but their heart is in the right place and they ensure that the organization functions on a day-to-day basis. These are the people we need to manage and keep in the organization. And obviously, poor performers need to be moved out of the company. Let's talk about retention of high performers. This is going to be the critical part even in the future and today. First thing is differentiated rewards. We talked about the fact that if between an average and a high performer and a low performer, if I get the same rewards, it is unlikely that a high performer is going to remain in your organization. Another thing which you may look at is having a retention bonus, which is a long-term payment after a point of time. Learning and development and giving challenging tasks, and having a clear career path. Let's move on to how people practices will evolve in the new normal, which is possibly 3 months, 6 months away from today. The first thing is that we are looking at lowering of costs. And for most businesses, manpower is your largest cost. So lowering of headcounts is going to happen in the future. What it involves is that you need to get the right people on board. The right people means people with the right attitude, the people who are your culture champions, who are aligned with your way of the goal, and people who are going to do more with less. This is what we are looking at. It would also lead to process improvements. We are going to use a lot of lean methodologies to do, again, the idea is with lower headcounts, how do you still run business at the same level or better than before? Automation is going to be also quite high. What it would also lead to is that the businesses will start focusing on the core. This is what makes money. And outsourcing of accounting, IT, and HR recruitment is likely to happen. Mainly with the idea of getting better service at lower cost than what you're doing today. Performance management, define very clear definition of what performance is all about is going to be there. There's going to be shorter review cycles. The idea is maybe every month or every 2 months rather than the quarter or 6 monthly, which we are doing now. Fail fast, recalibrate, redo. That is the cycle which we're going to look at. Performance is going to get linked to rewards. There is going to be a direct line of sight between performance and rewards. A lot of rewards or compensation is going to move to variable. We are seeing the trend already to these days with a lot of organizations either cutting salaries or putting at least 30 to 40% at risk based on performance. And everything is going to be pay on performance focus. Let's look at talent management. We've talked about the fact, hire only the best. We're going to hire and retain the best people, for which you'll require, like we talked about, certain techniques of selection. You need to set that process in, that for each of your critical roles, what are the criteria for success, and how do you measure whether the candidate has that skill sets or not. Retention, we talked about using any of the 4 methods which we've talked about in the last slide. Engagement is going to be the key. And what does engagement look like? Engagement means constant communication, transparency, trust with the employees to talk about what is happening and why we are doing things. We're also going to look at a lot of people pushing decision making down, with delegation being one of the things which we will use to get more and more people to do more and more so that the organization can do more, rather than only the top people taking the decision. We are going to look at culture champions. There's an old saying which says culture eats strategy for breakfast, which means that organizations with a unique culture where everyone or every employee and every headcount is aligned towards the common goal and a certain way of doing things are going to win in this adversity, which leads to the key. Now, all 4 are bound together by constant communication. There is nothing called over communication as far as people practices are concerned. You need to over communicate. Use every channel possible. You could look at mobile app, you could look at human resource HRMS systems, we could look at face-to-face, we could look at WhatsApp group. Whichever methodology we use, The idea is communicate, communicate, and communicate. With this, let me come to, I've come to the end of these 2 slides. Now I'm moving on to part 2, which are certain questions which have come up. So I'm going to take on the first question, which says, how will I decide on who to retain and who to let go in my company now? So we've talked about the future, but what's happening today? So one of the things which we always suggest, or I would recommend, is that letting people go should be the last resort. You may want to look at reskilling. We may want to look at putting people in different roles. We may put at reduced salaries. But in case you have to let go, and obviously for every business owner, it's a very tough decision, then the idea is that you will have certain framework of performance with you. So either you could use the performance, or you could look at critical roles. Which are the critical roles without which your organization cannot function? So hold the critical roles, and the non-critical you could let go. The second question which has come up is, what is the ideal mix of top performers, steady performers, and low performers in a company? So normally you will find that your top performers who have the right attitude as well as performance. Now I'm especially stressing on attitude, because we have these people who are very great performers, but whose attitude becomes an issue, and they cause problems and toxic culture at the organization. They take a lot of coaching and a lot of mind share to manage. So 15 to 20% across all levels, people who have the right attitude and the right performance. 65 to 70% would be people who are your steady workers. They are possibly not your high potential, so they are not people who you will speed up, but these are people who will grow through the organizations as their experience grows, but they are the people who get the job done. And about 10 to 15% normally you will find in the organization are people who are low performers. This has been my experience. Now, the third question which I had got is, what specific steps can I take to protect my top performers from leaving my company? So the first piece, show them a career path, talk to them. And that's why we spoke about communication. Talk to them about plans which you have for them. I know in the Middle East, it's tough with 2-year and 3-year contracts. But the idea is that in case you can communicate and show a career path, the person will not look around and stay with you. Learning opportunities is the second thing we talked about. Challenging tasks. And the easiest, of course, is a retention bonus. So a retention bonus permits you to pay the amount later while retaining the employee today. I also have certain questions which have come up on a mail from Mr. Avinash Mansabdar, working as finance director with Seed Group. So I'm taking on his questions now. So the first question is, if layoffs are the norm, will talent in future be available at a cheaper rate, or it will be a double whammy for the organization? So great question, and something which a lot of people are talking about today. I have a slightly different view on this. My belief is that talent is never cheap, and the market is the final arbitrator of the cost of talent. So we can't say that will you get someone cheaper or will you get someone more expensive, but the market will decide. And what's going to happen in the market 3 months, 6 months down the line? At this moment of time, we hear about a lot of people, a lot of organizations letting people go. Now, what I believe is that there's going to be a war for talent at the end of 3 months, 6 months. These top 15 performers are on everyone's list. And because they are on everyone's list, their price will go up. Because everyone is looking for these superstars, and there are only very few of them in the world. So the question which I think what Avinash was asking is that, do I let my great performers go today or not? So my recommendation, don't. Look at your top performers or critical roles, and you can ring fence them with a retention bonus. to be paid over the next 5 years. So for the organization, it is a deferred cost, because if you design a retention bonus well, you start paying out after 3 years, but the employee knows today that he is going to get. So in tough financial situation, you don't have a outflow, but the person knows that he's going to get, so he's already in the organization, and it's unlikely that he would.
Prasad, can I start with my question?
Absolutely, please.
Yeah. So, Colonel Sharma, since in this group I see we have 47 participants and most of them belong to an SME, the question is, giving a good career path to your team members is a belief system of everybody. But those many seats are not available in the SME. So how do you actually manage that? You want to give it, but you don't have seats available.
So it's a great question. And I think which is something which every SME owner struggles with. That I have maximum 1 or 2 or 3 key locations, these roles, correct? And I have 20 people. Can I show the career path to everyone? So what I feel is that when we talk about your top talent, it is 15 to 20%. You need to look after them. And those are the people who are going to make you successful. We all understand that. So the idea is to give a career path to them. You have one position, you start grouping 3 people and tell them that one of you will get this in 3 years' time. What it does is that if your company grows, you have more than one person available to fill the new roles which will come up. But in case it doesn't grow, the best person gets it. But what happens is that the other people are available to move out. But the impact it has on others who are at the lower level is saying that someone gave out. Now, the example I gave to you about an assistant manager who became the production head is from an SME. There was only one role. So what they did is that they replaced their person who was on top, who was not so great. No, those are hard decisions which we have to take as SME. So mix and match 4 or 5 things. In a lot of organizations, people stay for culture. They will get 2% hike, but they'll stay because they say it's a great place to work.
Great. Thank you, Colonel Mishra. May I request everyone to please put your video on, because that's the only way, I can understand if you have a question. Right now, I'm only seeing the name tiles. So are there any questions? Vishal Bhosleji is going to ask the question. Please go ahead, Vishal.
Good morning, sir. My name is Vishal, and
I'm
I'm heading HR function of a manufacturing company in UAE, right? And basically, currently we are into manufacturing of soaps, bar soaps, and liquid soaps and hand sanitizers. So it is mainly about current situation. See, I mean, I have handled even strikes in my career earlier. Okay. But now our company is at the moment functional. Okay, we are getting absolute same number of people on the shop floor, and it is full operation because we feel that we need to serve society also, right? But it is putting immense pressure on us because we don't know now. We don't have any control on the situation, right? People are coming from various places. Whatever best we can do, we are doing. I mean, we are keeping them at one particular place. We are taking care of their hygiene, their food, everything. But still, there is a constant pressure, and that is adding a lot of stress to me as a HR head of the company. So, how do I handle this stress? Because I feel helpless. I'm not in control. Okay.
Yeah, so let me see if I can help you, Vishal, with this. So people working next to each other on the machines. So alternate, you may want to run an additional shift, but look at people having alternate 6 feet distance. Everyone to wear masks. Triple layer with homemade is okay, but triple layer. Look at sanitizing and washing hands, which should not be a problem because that's what you manufacture. So everyone could have that. Okay. Anyone who reports any irritation in the throat, make it easy for that person to report. Tell people no pay will be cut. Nothing will be cut. And you need to be out on the floor talking to people saying that it is okay. It's okay. We are taking the maximum precautions. And the key is, see, the idea is that in your, when people are going for food, in short, people are not sitting next to each other. So alternate seating, alternate machine positions. That means alternate person should be there and one person should be able to manage two machines if possible. Look at reduced staffing is possible or more shifts. So these are the only options which we can think of.
Riaz Khan next. Please go ahead, sir.
Hello, sir.
Hi there.
Sir, I am in a very typical situation. I am heading a hospital as CEO, and we are in the middle of the corona crisis, wherein because of the lockdown, this is a private hospital. Now, what has happened is that we have lots of full-time employees who are still working in the hospital, but because of as per the regulations, we are supposed to maintain the strength of the employee to keep the hospital license active. So we are keeping that, number one. Number two is because of the lockdown, the normal revenue source of the hospital have completely dried up. It has gone down to maybe 10%. Number three, because we are a part of the government initiative, we are getting corona positive patients to be treated in the hospital, which needs a lot of resources in terms of PPEs, in terms of the staff which are required to handle this patient. Then, these staff also are required to go on quarantine. Typical question which I am facing is that should I, like any other industry, adopt the same measure in cutting the cost, which is going to demotivate the staff, which is actually risking their life in treating the corona patients. And if I don't do this, I don't have resources to, go forward in maybe May, or if this extends to May, June. Seek your guidance as to what should be done in this situation.
Good, sir. So I think the dilemma you have is whether to look at survival of the organization or whether to look at keeping some of the employees. Now, I think we covered it a bit in saying that the measures of cutting costs, what they are. So one is send people on 2 months leave, which is what the government is talking about. The other option is to let some people go, 30 or 40%. So you know that whatever is your minimum staffing required, hold them and let people go temporarily without pay, saying that the moment things get better, we will get you back. And the third obviously remains to talk about the fact that can we have a cut of pay so that working capital is the lifeblood of any company. You start running out of working capital, life is going to get very, very difficult. And it is going to impact everyone. So the idea is to make a list, think of all the ones which are your minimum staffing, by which you can run the hospital, and look at measures depending on your cash flow, on either reduced pay or saying 3 months without pay, we'll send you back if whenever the flights start, wherever you go, or you can stay here at a certain 20% or 30%, just sustenance. Because but constantly you need to talk to them. Everyone must understand why it is happening. So it is good to be transparent and say we have an option of either saving the hospital permanently or paying you for 3 months, and after that everyone is out of the job. What would you prefer?
Coronavirus, if it continues for another 3 to 6 months, what do you think is going to be the future of the tiny and the small organizations who are hand to mouth right now?
So it's a very tough call, I think, but see what is likely to happen. And again, I read up a lot. I'm listening to a lot of webinars. The restaurant industry and the airline and travel, they are looking at recovery by 2021 end. So there is a KPMG report which I had read yesterday, which talks about travel, restaurants, and this thing. Now, when you look at the US, and again, I'm saying the restaurant industry in US and Europe, they are to 0%, which means if they were making 100, they are making 0. So a lot of restaurants, I think the sense it is to shut down temporarily. I can share Germany's case. So I was reading up yesterday that Yeah, Germany is looking at anyone who has had it. So they are doing antibody tests. They found that 15% of the people have already been infected, and out of which a lot of them were without symptoms. So these 15% are now back in the workforce. So the restaurants are using those people if possible.
May I now request Rahul Gokhale to summarize this session and take the proceedings further. Thank you.
Yes. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Rajiv ji, for such a wonderful session. Let me start conclusion with my confession. When Prasad told me Colonel Rajiv is going to conduct session, suddenly I thought Colonel means a very strong guy with a gun in hand, and his solution would be use technology and roll off the heads, just shoot. But no, you started session, your first or second sentence was, yes, technology is changing, but technology is not only solution for business. Employees are key to business. Obviously, here a lot of majority of us are either business owner or senior management. We know how to sell our product or services, but new dimension today takeaway for us was you have to sell your organization to your employees as well. Then you really told us the important that our organization should have defined role while doing recruitment, and try to select what would be right employee to match most of your requirements. Then you really elaborated how one should set goals for employees. There should be monitoring mechanism. And then you select your top 10 to 15, then average about 60 to 70 and bottom 70 employees. I think that is quite a good takeaway for us. And then you wonderfully addressed current scenario. Probably the more work and less package is going to be norm in new normal. One of the important things you told us that not only skills, but attitude and employee has to be culturally aligned to organization. You told the business owners there would be more frequent reviews, and really you showed us guidance how to take it forward. And whoever has question, you addressed their question and concern. So on behalf of JMBF, really thanks a lot from all of us for last 1 enlightening hours. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Rahul.
And now it's time to conclude session. All of you stay home, remain fit, remain healthy, and hope to see all of you in our next GM Connect session. Wishing everyone happy Ramadan, Ramadan Kareem, and Ma Salama till our next GMBF Connect session.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.